This one move by Captain Ibrahim Traoré is about to change everything for Burkina Faso. At the same time, it will come as a big blow to France and French financial institutions in Burkina Faso that are sucking the country dry by facilitating the money laundering schemes for French companies exploiting the country's resources. Ibrahim Traoré has launched Burkina Faso's first state-owned bank. Captain Ibrahim Traoré said the bank was a symbol of Burkina Faso's economic and financial sovereignty. The new Treasury deposit bank could be a first step in dropping the neocolonialist CFA currency that is keeping the country in bondage. Before we continue, make sure you're subscribed to the new Tourist channel. Also, like this video and share it with your friends and family. Unlike most African leaders, Traoré continues to prove that he delivers on his promises. Known as Burkina, the Treasury Deposit Bank was opened in Ouagadougou, the capital of the West African country, according to a statement by Traoré on X. With integrity as its compass, this bank is a tool and a symbol of Burkina Faso's economic and financial sovereignty, said Traoré. The bank is unprecedented in a country that has been plagued by terror threats since 2015, leading to the collapse of the economic and social-political sectors. According to Traoré, the bank will be closer to the people and will contribute to the country's socio-economic development through a more appropriate method of financing and structuring projects and programs, freed from exploitative and parasitic assistance from Western countries and organizations like the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. The IMF and the World Bank are notorious for giving out loans to African countries at outrageously high and exorbitant interest rates, coupled with other harsh conditions. This is why Thomas Sankara never took loans from the IMF or World Bank. Sankara's projects for Burkina Faso were fully funded by local coffers. At the 1987 summit of the Organization of African Unity, Thomas Sankara warned that he would not live to attend another meeting if Burkina Faso were alone in resisting its debt obligations. A few months later, he was murdered in a coup backed by France for calling out the neocolonialist and imperial character of the debt imposed on African countries and calling for African unity and freedom. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the Burkina Faso strongman, who led a successful coup in September 2022, has been making moves to help his country grow and free them from Western influence, neocolonialism, and imperialism. As the leader of the ruling junta, he invited public and private development organizations and economic operators to make use of this bank to participate in the collective construction of a sovereign economy at the service of the country's development. Sovereignty. This is what Traoré has been trying to attain since seizing power in 2022. After gaining independence from France on the 5th of August 1960, Burkina Faso, like other former French colonies, remained under the parasitic influence of the French government. They were quick to wipe out Thomas Sankara when he tried to make Burkina Faso a sovereign state. There's no doubt that Ibrahim Traoré has taken a strong stance against French policies since seizing power. His coming to power has caused many French companies and banks to leave the country as they fear the upright man. The French-owned bank, Société Générale, which is France's third biggest listed bank, agreed to sell its subsidiaries in Burkina Faso to the Pan-African banking group Vista Group. Vista Bank Group also acquired BNP Paribas in Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso was France's sixth largest trading partner in sub-Saharan Africa in 2021. Burkina Faso is home to some 50 subsidiaries of French companies. In total, there are an estimated 70 French subsidiaries or interests in Burkina Faso. Some 50 French business people are present in the hospitality and tourism sector. France was Burkina Faso's leading bilateral donor and one of the 19 priority countries of France's development policy. On 18 January 2023, Traoré terminated the 2018 bilateral agreement on the status of French forces in Burkina Faso. On 28 February 2023, they also terminated the 1961 agreement on technical military assistance. The safe and orderly French military withdrawal from Ouagadougou was completed on 19 February 2023, in full transparency and in coordination with Burkina Faso's transitional authorities. Ibrahim Traoré also expelled French diplomats, accusing them of subversive activities. His government has also suspended French media agencies in the country for spreading fake news in an attempt to destabilize the country. In September, Niger, along with fellow ECOWAS members Burkina Faso and Mali, formed a military alliance called the Association of Sahel States. 4 months later, the trio announced their withdrawal from the larger bloc for illegal, illegitimate, inhumane, and irresponsible sanctions it imposed on them after coups. Later, reports emerged of possible parting ways with the neocolonialist currency, the West African franc, that has kept about 14 former French colonies in bondage. Captain Ibrahim Traoré said that more changes might still surprise people, and it's not just about currency. He says he will break all ties that keep his people in slavery. The creation of this new bank will go a long way to assist in the financial and economic sovereignty of Burkina Faso. Along with the juntas of Niger and Mali, Traoré believes that a new currency will be a sign of sovereignty. The 3 Sahel states are in the process of recovering their full sovereignty. They're tired of being France's cash cow. While there is no word on when the planned change will happen, or if indeed it will, the desire to change the currency seems to not be uniform yet among the 3 countries. However, the creation of this new state-owned bank is the first step for Burkina Faso, as they've broken away from ECOWAS. France created the CFA in 1945 as a currency for its African colonies. Indeed, the acronym CFA initially stood for Colonies Françaises d'Afrique, or French Colonies of Africa. This system provided France with significant economic and political influence over its African territories because it maintained control over the currency's convertibility and monetary policy. The colonies gained independence in the 1960s and 70s, but many clung to the currency, which is now named Communauté Financière Africaine. For years, the CFA was trumpeted by government officials who were puppets of France as a mechanism for promoting monetary stability, facilitating economic integration, and enhancing overall economic performance. Then coups occurred, and anti-French sentiments increased. Since 2020, there have been 6 successful coups in West Africa. The military took power during a time of rising insecurity in these countries. It then accused French forces of not doing enough in their collaborations to fight armed groups. As relations soured and states in the region turned to new partners like Russia, calls for cutting ties with France and instituting a new currency have grown louder. Burkina Faso's military leader Captain Ibrahim Traoré on Thursday said he has evidence of destabilization orchestrated against his country by France and supported by Benin and Ivory Coast. Traoré said he has a problem with the policies of the leaders in Benin and the Ivory Coast. He said evidence will be revealed that Benin is home to 2 French bases directed against Burkina Faso. He stressed that they have proof and tracks have been laid, as the soldiers are equipped, he stressed. After taking power, the military broke military and bilateral agreements with France, accusing it of not only having failed in its efforts to combat terrorism, but also of wanting to destabilize the country. Traoré said he has audio recordings of French agents in Benin who play at the terrorist centers of operations, and set up operations with them and help them to look after themselves. Of course, France has denied these allegations. Puppets of France and supporters of the CFA say being pegged to the euro is a useful buffer against inflation, given the state of economies in the Sahel. Together, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger contribute only about 8% of the $761 billion GDP of ECOWAS. Under the neocolonialist French policies, the Central Bank of West African states was required to deposit half of its foreign exchange reserves with the French Treasury, an obligation that critics of the currency have long denounced as a humiliating attachment to France. There's no doubt that Traoré has the interest of his people at heart, despite the many attempts on his life. He promised to free his people from France's claws. He has canceled the gold and mining licenses of all Western companies in Burkina Faso. He has expelled French diplomats and the French military that was pretending to help fight the Islamic insurgents in the country. He has made many strides in improving the lives of the people by funding many development projects, as we've covered in one of the videos on the new tourist channel. The new Treasury bank created by Traoré will help in financing projects in Burkina Faso. It will help in investing state funds locally and counter-cyclical lending. What do you think of Captain Ibrahim Traoré and his efforts in Burkina Faso? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching the New Tourist channel, and see you in our next video.